You're listening to Go Running Talks, a podcast by Go Running Tours. Quick, fun chats with our guides, guests, and partners from around the world. Get ready to discover new cities, inspiring stories, and the shared joy of running anywhere on the planet.
Welcome to yet another episode of Go Running Talks. This time I'm joined by my colleague Alex, who's been my colleague, I believe, for a few years now and is based in Atlanta. But Alex, instead of me introducing you, go ahead and introduce yourself and let people know who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Alex Grady. I am based and thrive in the Atlanta, Georgia area. I've been a running tour guide for a little over 2 years, so it's been some time. It's been a really good way for me to reconnect with running. My background, I actually ran in college, ran semi-professionally ever so slightly, and dabbled in that, but ultimately have retired from that fast running and now do more fun running and get to check out the city with some awesome clients and guests. So that's just a little bit about me, and just, really excited to share a little bit more about Atlanta as well as what I stand for.
Fantastic. Excellent. You mentioned a little bit you ran in college. Obviously very good at running, but really how did running start for you? What was sort of your introduction to running?
Goodness. So going back to grade school, I remember I was in the 6th grade and I had tried out for the basketball team, and I didn't get it. I failed miserably. I got cut from the team. I was devastated. And I remember there was track tryouts too. And I mustered up all the little bit of courage that I had. I was like, you know what? I think I'm pretty fast. I think I can do this. And I tried out for the track team. I thought I was going to be a sprinter. Learned early on that was not in the cards. It was not for me. But there was one particular day where we had a mile time trial, and I did pretty good. I didn't train for it or anything. Like I just jumped in, and turns out I was the last spot on the team. Somebody gave me a chance, and that just, it turned my world upside down. Ever since then, I really just poured into running. It was a little bit more of my identity. It was everything I was. It was where I found my friends and built some of my best relationships. So I have so many fond memories of running that really grew up with me as I went through middle school and then high school and then ultimately college and now. So still have a really great relationship with running, and just very grateful for what it's done for me.
Excellent. And is there any, I mean, now you mentioned quite a few things in terms of making friends, or sort of having a community, enjoying running and being part of your life. But is there one sort of running memory that stands out as the very best running memory that?
Oh my gosh. So my best running memory is probably post all of that. I'm a marathoner these days, so dabble in the majors. I've knocked out 5 of the 7. I'm still trying to figure out how to get into Tokyo, and Sydney is fairly new. But my absolute favorite memory, I ran the London Marathon, and I actually ran on behalf of a charity, and I wanted to generate momentum. I wanted to gauge a level of interest like no other. So what do you do in London? You sign up and attempt a Guinness World Record. Guinness is actually based in London. So all of the fees that are associated with attempting a Guinness World Record are waived because it's just one big pot. I dressed up as a boxer and I ran the streets of London and secured the Guinness World Record. So that was absolutely awesome. But what was crazier was just the energy and the excitement from the crowd, complete strangers who saw a boxer running down the road, and they were so fulfilling. So even though it was dreary, it was raining a little bit, I had run a personal best at the time, dressed as a boxer with a headpiece and some gloves. And it was just an incredible memory for me. That was one of my absolute favorites.
That's awesome. It sounds hilarious as well. It sounds so much fun. Well done, Alex. How did you come up with being a boxer? I'm curious.
Well, I had some more ambitious goals. I was talking to essentially a member of the Guinness team, and I was like, I could do this, or I could dress up at this, or maybe I can like paint while I'm running or something. Like I was just getting really creative, and they're like, how about what about a boxer? How about you? So it had already been attempted before. There was already a track record. So it felt in the cards. It didn't feel too ominous. So I went with their recommendation and kind of folded in play. So yeah, it was great.
Fantastic. And then do you have a worst memory?
I do.
Sort of. It's a worst running memory.
Oh goodness. Yeah. So, okay. In high school, it was the big state meet for cross country. I'm a senior. It's my last year. I'm supposed to go out with a bang. It's supposed to be this huge thing. And I remember that news channels had picked it up a little bit. So I was in newspapers saying like, watch out for Alex. Like he's on our watch list. And that just it got me excited. And I was like, I can't let my community down. Like we got to do this. And I remember a week before the race, I got pretty sick. Like really sick. And going into that race, I'm just like trying to eliminate all the negativity. I was like, you know what? This is still going to be my day. It's still going to be my race. We're going to make it count. And I fell flat. The sickness really just took everything out of me, and I gave it everything that I had, but it just wasn't the way I wanted to end my cross country season in high school. Thankfully, the hay was in the barn. I had already gotten onto the college teams and stuff like that, but I really wish that I could have performed a little bit better that day. So it's always just a little bit of a weight on me on if there was anything I could change or just tweak a hair, I would probably do that.
That's the one. And I mean, one thing is of course not quite performing, but I could imagine running really hard. I'm sure you gave it your all while still being ill. Must have just been horrendous.
It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. There was some aftermath at play, but probably a couple days after I went to the doctor and they're like, "Oh yeah, I don't know how you made it 5K." And I was like, "Well, I'll take it." So there's a ton of fond memories to outweigh some of those, but yeah, it's been a fun ride.
All right. Excellent. So, Alex, I've done a little bit of research on you more than sort of than we know each other.
Yes.
And one thing, so it sounds a little bit stalking like, but just research, right? And one of the things I found about you was that you were selected, I'm going to read out loud, and excuse my pronunciation, as the top amateur male honoree of the Peach of an Athlete Role Model Award and received congressional recognition by the U.S. House of Representatives for outstanding community service hours. Tell us about this.
That's a blast from the past. So I remember I was in college, and I'm very grateful for where I came from. There were a ton of people who helped and propped me up and put me in a good position to where I could be successful. And I wanted to make sure I gave back then, and I continue to give back now. But one way I did that, I read scholarship essays. I connected with students from lower income backgrounds and just help to position them in a really good way so that they can put their best foot forward to get into their dream colleges and such. So I was hitting the pavement, not only training for cross country and track for Georgia Tech, but I was also really, really involved in some of the local schools, some of the schools that I came back from, mentoring, coaching, helping probably 100 different kids. I'm just trying to get them in a good position. So there was this award that ultimately was a culminating community service and athletic achievement. And I just fit the mold. So I was nominated and ultimately selected. It was a great time. It happened in really the heart of Atlanta, the College Football Hall of Fame. It took place, and that was a fairly new building way back when. A really, really great memory. Like I met some incredible people, some other incredible athletes in the Georgia area. So just very grateful for that. But also it was a reminder of the impact that we can make as individuals, both on and off the field.
Absolutely. That's remarkable. Well done, Alex. Really good. And very impressive as well, I think, and admirable. Another thing, Alex, you haven't told us about you. You talked about you as a runner and so on. Is also, and I remember you actually put this on your application, or at least when we spoke the first time when you joined the company, is that you write kids' books.
I do. I do. So I'm going to try to truncate this. There was a period of time where I lost my job. It wasn't a result of me. It was just role failure. COVID was taking place. I feel like we all have a COVID story. Well, my COVID story was the role that I had dissolved. I was living at home at the time, pretty down on myself. And my mom is like, Alex, this is not you. Like you need to do something constructive. This ain't it. My mom's a kindergarten teacher, so she teaches little ones. And she's like, why don't you write a kid's book? And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? But started to think about it. I was like, you know what? There would be some really cool lessons that I wish I knew sooner. And I'd love to encapsulate that in a kid's book forms. I wrote my first kid's book kind of in the peak of COVID. And it really just gave me a lot of energy and hope as I was talking about energy and hope and resiliency. And ultimately that kind of laddered into creating a series. So I have 3 kids' books out there in the world. They're all around social emotional learning or meta skills, things that you can't really teach in classrooms, but you really have to catch them through experiences. So it's fundamental pieces that I think every human being, not just kids, but adults too, every human being should just be cognizant of and probably sharpen their skill set there. And just grateful that it's received just some good publicity, some good energy, and have been able to speak into that over the last few years as well. So just another little endeavor, but really coming from a passion point.
Yeah. Fantastic. And like, I'm curious, I can't help but ask a little bit. If you were to write a kid's book about running, bringing it back to running now, what would be,
My goodness. I think for running, your best day looks different every day.
Mm,
It's a little bit of a grind sometimes, and consistency is key, but really just getting out there and doing the best you can in that short amount of time in that day can pay dividends in the long run. So I would love to extract that nugget and encapsulate that in a book, just talking about the power of consistency, the power of compounding, and how that can translate into other facets of your life too.
yeah, yeah.
I'm sure there would be a race involved, something really, really big, but probably the result of that race isn't what the main character is hoping for or expecting, but the lessons that they learn are bar none. They're going to be able to stick with them for their lifetime.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to that, Alex, to that book.
Like, these are cool.
Excellent. Well, let's bring it back to sort of the running tours. You do the running tours in Atlanta, have done it for a couple of years. Tell us about the different tours that you have, because you actually have quite a variety of tours in the
Yeah.
city.
Well, there's a lot going on in Atlanta, just like any city. So I wanted to make sure we captured as much of that as possible. And you can't do that in one run, candidly. So one of the runs, we have a scenic Atlanta tour. It's in downtown, the heart of Atlanta. We're hitting all of these major pieces. And of course, I'm sharing some personal stories, but also some facts around things like the Georgia Aquarium or the College Football Hall of Fame. I'm talking about the Olympics and Centennial Olympic Park. And so there's a lot of really great, rich history that's baked right in the heart of downtown Atlanta. And we can actually cover a lot of ground because everything's so densely populated. Another tour would be the MLK Jr. tour. So Martin Luther King Jr., he was actually born and raised in Atlanta off of Auburn Avenue. So we can go to his childhood home. We can go to his church space where he actually preached. And he also has memorials covering in the heart of Atlanta. So we get into the weeds. We talk about the history. We talk about his lineage. We talk about where he came from and what he stands for. And it's a phenomenal tour for any history buffs. Then we have the Beltline tour. It's probably one of my favorites. The Beltline is essentially this, it's still growing up, but eventually it's going to be this beautifully connected 32-mile loop that surrounds the inner perimeter of Atlanta. And honestly, you can cover a lot of ground if you can get around those 32 miles. We break that up. I mean, I give clients, I give people a choice if we want to go one way to learn more about one thing or go a different way. But there's a ton of rich energy just around the Beltline. It kind of is an ode to where Atlanta was and being just a commerce hub for so much trade, so many bartering opportunities way back when, using the railroad systems, the train systems, you name it. We've ultimately uprooted all of those railings, and now we're left with kind of this beautiful ethos that's connecting everything in the city. So we can cover a lot, but I go into the history there. And then there's some of my favorites where you can stop in, pop out, get some coffee, get some really great food. There's incredible art scene here in Atlanta too. So we unpack that a little bit as well. And then I can freestyle as well. I've done tours up in the Battery, which is where our our Braves stadium is. Our Braves are our MLB team, our baseball team. It was actually originally in downtown Atlanta, the stadium, but they moved it up to a place called Smyrna. So it's a little ways away, but it's kind of its own little community. Really, really fun. Atlanta loves multi-use, multi-purpose buildings and spaces. So you're going to see people living where they're working, where they're playing. And it's just this awesome amalgamation of what could potentially be. So the food scene is great. The vibes are great, but yeah, we can freestyle it and go as far as you want to go. But yeah, Atlanta has a lot to offer, as you can imagine, and we try to put it all on one piece of paper.
Yeah. If a guest could just choose one tour,
Yeah,
which one would you recommend?
we cover so much ground with the Beltline tour.
Yeah.
And honestly, it is probably, I know scenic Atlanta is like downtown in the heart, concrete jungle, but the Beltline has this beautiful forestry, has this beautiful greenery. It makes you feel like you've been transported. It doesn't feel like Atlanta sometimes. And that's some of the things that I appreciate. So we can get into some really quiet parts and have some really great conversations. So I would definitely choose the Beltline tour. Mind you, we could break it up. There's a 13 miler in there. Look, I'll go a whole marathon if you want, but we can dial that in as well and do 10K, 5K, what have you. You just got to let me know.
It's funny because I still have this dream that some guide is going to create a marathon tour, because we have so many people running our half marathon tours, and a lot of times they're asking, hey, can you do 28K? Can you do 32Ks leading up to all the big marathons?
Absolutely.
So I'm still waiting for that one guide who's going to say, hey, Lena, I would like to do a marathon tour. Maybe that's you, Alex.
What I'll say is, Atlanta is very hilly. I don't sugarcoat that at all. I let all of our customers know ahead of time, like, hey, get ready. Like it's gonna go down. The Beltline can traverse a lot of those hills. And I said it's gonna be 32 miles by the end of it, really 33. So I don't know. It may be in the cards. It's lining up beautifully. There's a little bit more construction over the next couple years to finish it out. But I don't know. We may parallel path that marathon plan with the Beltline being a little
Beltline. Deal.
more.
That's what we'll do. Actually, before we move on to just talking about Atlanta as a city to visit, is there one running tour memory? Is there one guest, or one tour that sort of stands out to you as sort of that stayed with you in a special way?
Yeah. So it's not just one guest. I've had a lovely time connecting with individuals one-on-one. My favorite, though, we had a group tour, and they were people from all across the globe, and they came in to learn about science. Like it was a science conference. I thought I knew a little bit about science. I know nothing. They were dropping gems. They were sharing more information than I was. I was trying to go tit for tat, but with like 40 different guests and having my team around me and just giving them an incredible experience and almost like mother ducking them all the way around Atlanta, making sure that everybody's okay and we're all in one piece. It was probably the most invigorating hour that I've ever experienced. And I probably had 20 different touch points with individuals who were so appreciative for the tour, but also like they shared pieces of themselves and they left that in the city of Atlanta with me. So I'd say the group tour, it kind of feels like cheating because it feels like, this was like multiple tours in one. It was super fun. It was super fun.
Excellent. You probably don't know this, Alex, but actually, sort of there's a picture of you doing a conference run, and I think the sun is rising slightly in front of the Olympic rings.
Yeah.
With this group tour, it's the picture we use when the front page, when we sort of, I wouldn't say we sell, but when we present our conference runs, that's the one that we use. God. So well done in getting that.
Look, well, because I'm in the picture, I didn't take it, but I'll take all the credit. This is great.
Fair enough. Cool. All right, well, let's move on to Atlanta. We always talk about the cities as well, because part of course, our concept, one thing is the running, but it's also we want to show the cities, and you guys, of course, know the cities incredibly well. So is there anything where you sort of feel when people visit Atlanta, is there anything they should see or do that they don't normally do? So a little bit of a sort of a tip that most people wouldn't find on the internet or know about already.
Yeah, it's really good. So I have two that are off the beaten path. So basically scenic Atlanta, everybody's doing everything in there. I'm talking World of Coca-Cola, Georgia Aquarium. We have a Black History Museum that's being renovated at this time. So hopefully when they come, that would be ready. Those are all great, but really just like standard peanut. We have a really interesting comedy scene. Like I love laughter. And there's two particular places that are kind of like hidden gems. Like if you didn't really know, you would never know to go in there. One is called Dad's Garage. They have improv shows all the time. They actually have improv classes. So they have just this group of individuals who are all at different skill sets and levels, and you get to see them honing in their craft on a Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and they are hilarious. That's actually really close to like the Auburn Ave area, so you can parlay or pair that really well with being in Pont City Market and then heading over to Dash Garage and having a great time. The other one is the Laughing Skull. This is a really interesting concept because the Vortex, which is like one of my favorite burger places in Atlanta, it's a lot of food. You're going to have to run a lot of miles, a lot of kilometers before getting it. It is worth it. The zombie apocalypse, I know that sounds crazy, but that's probably my favorite item on the menu. But in the back of the Vortex, there's this thing called the Laughing Skull. And it's essentially where anyone can volunteer, stand up, work up and muster up the courage to give a skit or anything of that nature. And they're trying to hone in their craft too. So those are like holes in the wall that you wouldn't really know about, but like, just like I'm starting to see more and more of the identity of Atlanta kind of baked in those things as well. So I'd call those out. Last thing, there's Colony Square. Colony Square is right next to the High Museum of Art. That is an awesome pairing. Colony Square has all of this incredible food. Some of my favorite restaurants are right in that little pocket. It's also multi-purpose, multi-use space. And then you can walk on down to the High Museum or even the Atlanta Symphony. So that's another just depiction of art. If you have an opportunity to opt into that, you got to do it. You got to do it.
Fantastic. Excellent. I have one question. Do you do comedy yourself?
I don't. I am an aspiring improv specialist, aspiring. So I can think on my feet a little bit. I can work in some jokes, but not at the level of some of these other folks. So I got some work to do, but yeah, any feedback, I'll gladly receive it.
Excellent. These were like two gems. And is there anything where you sort of feel a lot of people come to Atlanta and they do one thing where you think, that's maybe a little bit of a shame if they only have 1 day or 2 days in Atlanta that they spend time here? Or is there something where you think, actually, I wouldn't spend my time here. I'd recommend not doing this.
Yeah. So this is going to sound a little juxtaposed, but like I wouldn't stay in a hotel in downtown Atlanta because there's so much going on right there. It can be really easy to just walk out your door and do just that one thing. So I would recommend if you can get out of your comfort zone a little bit and like go to like Decatur or even closer to the airport, just something that will get you out of your comfort zone. Because once you're in downtown Atlanta, you're kind of stuck there. So my opinion, if you're going to find like a hotel scene, like get like an Airbnb, there's a lot of great opportunities there, and like go into the city a little bit more when you're doing activities because it's going to stretch you a little bit. There's so many great things to do. The food scene is incredible. Like you're gonna find stuff everywhere. But I run into so many people who are like, yeah, I was in downtown and we did the aquarium and that was great, and then we went home. And I'm like, what do you mean? There's it's there's so much. So if you're going into the city, you're bound to run into or discover something completely random that you weren't even anticipating. Always something going on in Atlanta. So I want you to run into kind of the unexpected.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So set yourself up for a little bit of spontaneity and surprises.
That's
fantastic.
Great. Yeah.
Perfect. So we're almost at the end now, Alex. So I have some quick fire questions to you.
Okay.
I think there's 6. So I'm going to read at the same time. Music on a run, hip hop, house, podcast, or silence?
Definitely silence. Definite silence. Yeah.
Fair enough. Hills, Bill's character, or personal attack?
Bill's character.
Easy long runs or fast short runs?
Easy long runs.
Yeah. Is that the marathon in you speaking now?
I think so. It honestly, it takes a minute to get warmed up. And once you're warmed up, you get into this flow state. You know what I'm talking about. It's lovely.
Yeah, I agree. Atlanta heat and humidity, odd balm for the soul or pure suffering?
Pure suffering. Yeah. We're trying, but yeah, not good.
Fair enough. Favorite marathon moment? The start line buzz or the finish line high?
Finish line high, for sure. Yeah.
Excellent. And the last one, marathon training, super structured training plan, or it'll be okay?
I was super structured, but now I've learned that it's gonna be just fine. It'll be
It'll be okay. Yeah. How many marathons have you run now, Alex?
I've done 8.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I did a double marathon, like an ultra in South Africa, so I'm double dipping a little bit. Technically, yeah. Technically.
Because one just isn't enough.
It's not. I will say, like, now that I've done enough, I think my sweet spot is closer to the half marathon, maybe even a good 10 miler, but every now and again, it's a lovely thing. It's beautiful.
Fantastic. Good. Then the last question is, and I ask this to all the people that I speak to in these interviews, is best advice for a runner. And this can be for beginners, it can be for elite runners, for everyone. Simply your best advice.
Yeah. I would say find your tribe. Community it's not everything in running, but it is incredibly important. And I've learned that if you surround yourself with people who get after it or are ambitious or run really fast, you tend to start running a little bit faster too. But they also know how to deal with injuries because they've seen everything. They know what training feels like and looks like. They know how to fuel, but they also know how to have a good time and pass the time. And some of my deepest connections with some of my best friends have been on runs day after day. And that is something that you can't replicate. You can't emulate it. When you're running, thoughts are going everywhere. So you tend to talk about everything.
Yeah.
And you can really get away from the fluff of the, oh, how are you? Nice to meet you. And you can get into like, why am I here? Which those conversations, those just give me so much energy. So find your tribe, balance it out, right? You may be introverted, that's fine, but find a group of individuals who love something as much as you do.
Yeah. That's a great advice. And I think it's almost for everything, right? But it's really sort of, I think you're so right, especially with running in these conversations. There's something that happens when you're side by side and you're not in front of each other and you sort of just go and you see things and so on. You're right. It opens up for different type of dialogue and a different connection. And that really matters. I think, in a world where we're always on our phones or write or SMS, you're actually there doing a long run with other people. That's 2 hours that you need to have real conversations.
Absolutely. That's great. It's great.
Excellent. Alex, I don't have any more questions. Thanks for joining this interview, and huge thanks for being part of Go Running Tours and doing some incredible tours in Atlanta. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Grateful for you. And yeah, I'll be around. Come to Atlanta.
Definitely. Go run with Alex in Atlanta. Thanks a lot, Alex.
Gotta go, go, go.